ITD Cementation, that is the company in focus. The CFO Prasad Patwardhan is joining us. The news is that they've got a very large order from a port company, a 1,000 crore order, civil and hydro-mechanical work order from a hydropower project in Andhra Pradesh. Massive 1,000 crore order. Amazing. Congratulations, Mr. Patwardhan. Thank you very much. The smile on your face is quite justified. Your order book is getting bigger and bigger. Talk to us about what's the complexion of the order book right now. Do you have more such orders in the pipeline? It appears you have bid for big orders from here on.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me on your show. Yes, as of now, our order book is about 23,000 crores, if we include this order that we have announced yesterday. The bid pipeline is also pretty strong right now. So we are looking at larger projects and projects which are more into, the type of work where we have the existing experience and qualifications as well. So marine projects, metro projects, underground metro projects, and hydroelectric power projects is what we are focusing on right now. And we have seen a strong order flow in this year largely in these segments.
Sure, point taken. But if I have it right, I think your annual guidance for the year was around 4,000 to 6,000 crore rupees, if I remember it right. You have an order book which is already 3 or 4x of that. Do you think you have enough execution capabilities, and what would it do to your targets in terms of revenue? I stand corrected, it was 6,000 crores for FY24. What does it do to your FY25 revenue target then?
Well, if you look at FY24 targets, we did about 3,500 crores in the first 6 months. And looking at the way the execution is picking up, we should be, 7,500 plus in this year. And given the order book that we have today, I think at least a 15-20% growth over this order book looks possible as of now in FY25.
So,
sorry, I just have a clarification to make. You said 15-20% growth on the order book. You're talking about order inflow or you're talking about revenue, Mr. Patwardhan?
No, I'm talking about revenue. The order inflow this year.
15-20% growth in FY25 was 7,500 crores.
That's right.
Sure.
So what you're saying essentially is that these big order flows which are coming your way and your execution pipeline is ensuring a 15 to 20% visibility on your top line for next 3 to 4 years. Or do you think that it has an upward revision potential?
Well, 3 to 4 years would be difficult to comment at this stage. It's too early. But looking at the way we are executing projects in FY24, FY25, we should see a 15 to 20% growth in our top line. Beyond that, we need to, next year we are going to have a large event in terms of the Lok Sabha elections. So, after that, we need to see the order flow and, what is the shape of things as far as the infra sector is concerned. And we'll be able to comment on the order book or the revenue beyond FY25 only after that.
Sure. What is the composition of your order book? What kind of higher margin business are you seeing, and what are the levers on the margin front?
Well, typically, today as we stand, about a third of our order book is marine projects. About 23% is urban infra and metro projects, and tunneling and highways is today around 18% of our order book. And these tunneling and industrial structures are about 10% each. So our recent experience has been that, marine projects and underground metro projects typically tend to give us better margins as compared to some of the other segments. And hopefully we'll see that playing out in our numbers as we report them on a quarter-on-quarter basis.
But Patwardhan, right now you have a lot of exposure to government and PSU entities. I think almost 80 to 70% of the business comes from there. Is that the expectation of the mix going forward as well, or do you think the orders from the private sector are likely to inch higher?
Well, infrastructure development is largely driven by government expenditure. Yes, there are some domestic, large corporates in the private sector or even some foreign players who are executing large projects in India. But typically, infrastructure is being pushed by, largely by government expenditure. And we are likely to see that trend continue going forward as well.
That point is taken, but talk to me about what could be the impediment to all of this, because you're talking about a lot of things which are looking positive, but let's put the risk on the board as well. What are those key monitorables that you have? Is it probably something about labor, something about raw material, or some approvals, anything that you're watching out for?
Well, typically approvals are not in our scope. We are just a pure EPC. We are executing the project. So typically approvals are not really in our scope. But the variables which could impact our projects is any escalation in the material cost, for example. While most of our projects do have escalation clauses, material cost has an impact, would have an impact on the margins as well. Interest cost is another thing, because this business is working capital intensive. So the borrowing costs typically tend to have an impact on our P&L as well. So largely these are the two things that would impact us. And lastly, I would say the government focus. We are seeing a significant focus from the government on infrastructure development, and there's a push for faster execution of projects as well. So these three things typically help or impact the performance of any infra company in our sector today.
All right, we'll let you go, Mr. Patwardhan. Thank you very much for your time. Good luck on execution.